What if one quiet morning habit could wake up your digestion, soothe your gut, and gently add years to your life? Dr. Shigaki Hinohara, Japan's most beloved doctor, lived to 105. He still saw patients at 100, and every single morning he followed the same simple ritual, backed by science, rooted in joy, and likely the exact opposite of what most seniors in America are told to eat. After 60, digestion slows. You feel full, but not nourished. Even a light breakfast can leave you bloated or tired. But in my 70 years of practice and my own life into my hundreds, I found that healing starts in the morning. Not with supplements, not with restriction, but with one gentle rhythm, repeated every day. Let me show you what I ate, and why it helped me stay light, focused, and clear, well into my second century. 1. Your stomach's fire is dimming after 60. One of the most common complaints I heard from my patients, and felt in my own body, was this: I'm eating healthy, but I feel heavy after meals. That's not your imagination, it's biology. You see, your stomach works like a cooking pot, and enzymes, they're the fire underneath. They're what break down your food, especially proteins, so your body can absorb the nutrients. But after age 65, that fire begins to dim. In fact, research from the Journal of Gastroenterology shows that pepsin production, your main protein digesting enzyme, drops by 40% as we age. And your stomach acid, that critical cooking flame, it declines by nearly 30%. So what happens? Even healthy foods, like eggs or fish, don't break down fully. Instead, they sit, ferment, causing bloating, gas, and that slow, foggy feeling that follows breakfast. But here's the good news. There's a beautiful tradition from Japan, one I followed every morning, that helps relight that fire. Miso soup, just one warm bowl made with fermented miso paste, not the instant kind, gently stimulates digestion and supports healthy gut bacteria. In my experience, miso is like a matchstick for your morning metabolism. I remember Helen, a 69-year-old retired teacher who came to me with constant bloating and fullness fatigue. She tried miso soup with breakfast for just 10 days. The difference? She felt lighter, more regular, and, in her words, it felt like my body finally got the memo to wake up. If you're curious to try this yourself, start with 1 cup of warm miso broth in the morning. Use traditional fermented paste. And avoid boiling. High heat can kill the beneficial bacteria. Give it 7 days. Your body will likely tell you what Helen told me. My stomach feels like it's working again. 2. Rusty locks and insulin trouble. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt unusually tired after eating? Even if it was just a small, healthy meal. You might blame the food, but often the real issue lies in your cells. See, your body relies on insulin, a hormone, to unlock cells and deliver energy from food. Think of insulin like a key, but after 60, those locks, your cells, start to rust. They become resistant. They don't open as easily. And so the sugar from your food stays in your bloodstream longer than it should. That's why so many seniors feel sleepy, foggy, or even irritable after meals. But here's where it gets exciting. In Japan, there's a practice I followed every day and taught to many patients, called hara hachi. It simply means eat until you're 80% full, then stop. It may sound small, but the impact is profound. In the Calorie Phase 2 study, published in Aging Cell in 2024, researchers found that adults who practiced moderate caloric restriction improved insulin sensitivity by up to 35% over 24 months. In simple terms, eating slightly less makes the locks work better. Your cells become more responsive, energy flows more smoothly, and your metabolism, that quiet engine of your body, runs cleaner. I think of Frank, a 74-year-old former mechanic. He told me, "Doc, I always clean my plate," raised that way. But after learning about hara hachi, he started pausing halfway through meals. He'd breathe, he'd check in, and most days he stopped eating just a little sooner than usual. Within a month, his afternoon energy came back. He no longer felt like he needed a nap after breakfast. So, here's your gentle practice. At your next meal, try pausing when you feel 70% full. Ask yourself, am I still hungry or just finishing out of habit? You may be surprised how light, clear, and in control you feel, even with just that one shift. Quick question for you. Have you ever tried pausing halfway through a meal just to check in with your hunger? Drop a yes or never thought of it in the comments. I'd love to hear how that changes your experience. 3. The fire inside, chronic inflammation. Let's talk about a fire that burns, even when you don't feel it. Inside your body, there's a hidden source of damage called chronic inflammation. It's not the kind you notice like a swollen joint or a fever. This one is quiet, ongoing, and it accelerates aging in nearly every system, from your heart to your digestion, your memory to your joints. After age 60, this inflammatory fire becomes more common. Your body begins releasing more cytokines, chemicals like IL-6 and TNF-alpha, that act like gasoline on aging tissues. But here's the most important part. You can cool this fire every single morning, and you don't need a prescription to do it. In fact, the solution is already in your kitchen: cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. In my own practice and in my own routine, this was a daily ritual. 1 tablespoon, first thing in the morning, drizzled over warm vegetables, or even mixed gently into black coffee. This may sound simple, but the science is powerful. A 2020 Harvard meta-analysis involving seniors across 13 studies found that adopting a Mediterranean-style fat intake, especially from olive oil, reduced levels of C-reactive protein, a major inflammatory marker, by up to 30%. And unlike medications, olive oil doesn't suppress inflammation, it nourishes the cells that control it. I'll never forget Rosa, 71, who had lived with low-grade joint stiffness for years. She was skeptical about food as medicine, but she tried swapping her usual margarine and butter for cold-pressed olive oil. 1 tablespoon each morning, no other changes. Within weeks, she told me, I'm walking more. My hands don't feel angry anymore. It wasn't a miracle, it was chemistry, done gently, over time. If you'd like to try this, here's how. Use 1 tablespoon, 15 milliliters, of cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil. Take it in the morning, before or with breakfast. Stay consistent for at least 3 weeks. It may not feel dramatic at first, but over time, you may notice less stiffness, clearer energy, and something even more valuable: a quieter body. 4. The forgotten organ, your gut microbiome. There's an organ in your body that weighs more than your brain. It doesn't show up on x-rays, but it influences everything from digestion to immunity to even your mood. It's your gut microbiome, the invisible ecosystem of bacteria that live inside your intestines. And after 60, this system begins to shift. You lose some of the good guys, the bacteria that help digest food, reduce inflammation, and keep your gut lining strong. When that balance breaks down, you may experience bloating, irregular bowel movements, lowered immunity, or even foggy thinking. But here's the good news, Dr. Hara knew this decades ago, and every morning he ate something most of us overlook: fermented soy, miso, natto, even fermented tofu. These traditional Japanese foods are more than cultural staples. They're living reinforcements that reseed your gut and rebuild your defenses. In fact, a 15-year study from the Japan Public Health Center followed 90,000 adults and found that those who regularly ate fermented soy foods had a 10% lower risk of death from all causes, especially heart-related issues. So, what's the secret? These foods deliver probiotics, beneficial bacteria that repair the intestinal lining and restore balance to your gut. They also offer prebiotic fiber, food for the bacteria already inside you. In my own mornings, I often began with a warm bowl of miso broth, or a small serving of natto over rice. It wasn't always pleasant to the Western palate, but it kept my digestion smooth and my energy consistent for decades. I think of one patient, Naomi, 67, retired nurse, who'd been taking antacids for years. She started adding just a tablespoon of miso paste to warm water each morning. No boiling, just stirring. Within 2 weeks, she told me, "My stomach feels calmer. I don't wake up bloated anymore." Here's your simple starting point. Try 1 tablespoon of fermented miso paste, stirred into warm, not boiling, water. Avoid the instant packets. They often lack live cultures. And if you're adventurous, try natto. Start with 1 to 2 tablespoons once or twice a week. It might feel strange at first, but remember, sometimes the most powerful medicine isn't new, it's ancient. 5. Sleep starts in your stomach. Now, here's something most people, even doctors, often miss. Better sleep doesn't always start in your brain. It starts in your gut. Inside your digestive system, there's a tiny molecule called GABA, short for gamma-aminobutyric acid. Think of GABA like your body's lullaby. It gently tells your nervous system, it's okay to slow down now. As we age, our natural GABA production declines. That's one reason seniors often report waking up at 2 a.m., tired but restless, calm on the outside, but wired on the inside. But here's the fascinating part. Certain probiotic-rich foods, the same ones Dr. Hara consumed each morning, can naturally boost your GABA levels. How? They support the gut-brain axis, a direct connection between your microbiome and your nervous system. In a 2021 NIH study published in the Journals of Gerontology, seniors who took specific probiotic strains for just 12 weeks saw a 30% improvement in sleep quality scores. They also reported less anxiety and sharper mental focus during the day. That's not just about rest, that's about restoration. Margaret, 66, had tried everything: melatonin, chamomile tea, even nighttime meditation apps. But her sleep still felt shallow. So we made one change. She began adding miso and a few spoonfuls of plain kefir to her breakfast. Every morning, nothing dramatic, just a consistent rhythm. By week 3, she said, "I'm not just sleeping longer. I wake up feeling like my mind has actually rested." If that sounds like something you'd like to try, start with 1/2 cup of probiotic-rich kefir or plain yogurt paired with 1 tablespoon of miso broth. Consume it in the morning, not at night, to align with your body's natural cortisol rhythm. Stick with it for 2 to 3 weeks and gently observe what shifts. You may notice your thoughts settle a little sooner in the evening. Your body doesn't argue with rest, and sleep begins to feel nourishing again. Because when your gut speaks kindly to your brain, your whole system listens. You don't need a drastic detox. You don't need another diet trend. And you certainly don't need to fight your body. What you need is rhythm. Gentle, daily rhythm. The kind that Dr. Hara practiced quietly each morning, with a warm bowl of miso, a pause before fullness, and food that speaks kindly to your gut. Because aging isn't a decline, it's an invitation to realign. Which of these simple practices, fermented soup, olive oil, pausing before full, feels easiest to try tomorrow? Not forever, just tomorrow. Let me know in the comments. And more importantly, let your body tell you how it feels. And if you'd like more science-backed, deeply calming health guidance from someone who walked the walk for over a century, subscribe here. We share new insights every week to help you age with clarity, ease, and community. Because here, we don't chase youth. We nourish what lasts.